Okay, let's kick this off. So thank you for joining us. Let's kick this off. So thank you for joining us today. This webinar is regarding Lozen for incremental migrations. I'm Dustin Froyum, co-founder, and I lead our global alliances work within VirtualZ Computing. Also today, I have our chief architect, Richard Philyaw, who will present and walk us through a demo. Also on the call from our team is our founder and CEO, Jeannie Glass, co-founder and CTO, Vince Ray, and Elsa Flores, our director of marketing. A few housekeeping items before we start. This webinar is being recorded and will be available for playback on our website and our YouTube channel following this session. Feel free to drop questions in the chat as we go, or raise your hand, and we'll have a live Q&A section at the end of the presentation. And so today we're going to focus on that incremental migration solution. And so we'll start with a little overview of Lozen. We'll go into a demo, and today we're going to highlight the Micro Focus connector. This is one of the most powerful migration combinations on the market today. And then we'll talk a little bit about the specific benefits of Lozen for incremental migrations and overall. A little bit of QA. We'll highlight a little bit about our second product, Zach, and then we'll wrap it up. So let's talk a little bit about the problem we're solving. Today, there's this disconnect between the mainframe and other cloud and distributed storage and computing environments. And so this creates a variety of problems for these other environments, such as data lakes, analytics platforms, custom and off-the-shelf cloud and distributed applications. But whatever the reason you need to have that access, you're putting demands on the customer's mainframe to get that data and to try to close that gap. We hear up to 40% of resources on the mainframe are being spent to get access and ETL that data to these other environments, let alone the other issues that causes around security, single sources of truth, complex change data capture, and all the coding and support that you have to do around these environments. And so we really set out to close this gap between these environments and bring them together on a peer footing. Elsa, we can go to the next slide, please. So that's where we developed Lozen. And it's really complement of attributes that really make this a powerful solution. We did this so you would have real-time read-write access to the data on the mainframe from these other environments. Like it is a native application to the mainframe in a completely no-code manner. This was accomplished by the release of Lozen in later 2022, and the resounding reception of Lozen in the market is reinforced daily as an elegant and cost-effective solution. And we'll talk a little bit more about the attributes that really make this powerful for the incremental migration solution. And so let's just talk a little bit about the connector environment for Lozen. Again, our goal here is to have completely no-code solutions to connect to this mainframe data. Out of the box, Lozen comes with native NFS. We also have a Lozen API that is available, MuleSoft connector, and Open API. So all the application and vendors that support Open API can access Lozen and those advanced features to get to the mainframe data. We're gonna highlight today a little bit about that Micro Focus particular connector to Lozen, and in combination with Micro Focus Enterprise Server environment. What this does is it allows you to recompile, for instance, a COBOL application and recompile that, put that into the Micro Focus runtime server, connect to Lozen, and make zero code changes to access the data. So no semantics changes. You get all the advanced features of VSAM, QSAM, and those other files on the mainframe that you would have as if that application was still native on the mainframe. The Micro Focus connector also allows you to connect to other databases and data sources concurrently with those to the mainframe. And again, we'll talk a little bit about why this is beneficial and some of the advantages of that. So now we're going to just, before we get into the advantages, we're going to walk through, Richard's going to walk us through a example and demo of the Micro Focus Enterprise Server connection to Lozen.
This short demonstration will show how to use the Lozen connector for Micro Focus to access vSAM data on IBM Z from your distributed COBOL programs. The File Handler API was implemented and published by Micro Focus to allow custom file handling by COBOL programs using standard COBOL file I/O syntax. Using the callable file handler, an external library can serve as file I/O requests without any modification to your COBOL program. By implementing the File Handler API, we can leverage Lozen to directly access vSAM data residing on IBM Z from COBOL programs running on Linux and Windows. Let's look at the Micro Focus Enterprise Server Administration UI on our Windows server. Here we can see in the Micro Focus ES file catalog a list of the vSAM files we have linked to our IBM Z mainframe. We have defined an application in Micro Focus ES called Bank Demo. This application will be used to prepare a bank customer account statement that includes all the customer accounts plus transactions for the current month. Using the admin UI, we can see the various configuration and runtime options for the application. This includes startup parameters such as where to write log files, how much shared memory to allocate, whether to show the console, and other options. Now let's take a look at one of the COBOL programs we will use for this application. We can see that we are specifying an account information file which can be read sequentially through its base index. We also will access a customer information file and an account transaction file, both of which will be open for random access. The account info file can be read for either the entire file or for just a specific customer. As we process the three different files, we read the data for all the customer account types, including the transactions for the current period. This data will be written to an extract file that is then input to a sort job step. The sorted output from the sort is then processed by a print step to format the transaction report. Let's return to the ES admin UI to take a look at our job start options. Since we are using JES emulation to initiate the job, we can input a JCL file for the job here. We can also connect printers and start initiators before we submit the job. As we click Submit, we see the job starting in the console log. We click View Job to see the details of the submitted, now running job. Looking at the log messages, we notice that an exec parm of B0004 has been passed to the job. This tells our program to read only the records for that specific customer. As the job completes, we can check the messages showing which records were read from the files accessed by the program with record counts. We also see that the extract file was successfully created so it can be opened by the sort job step. Scrolling down to the list of DD entries, we can view the print output file to see the formatted account transaction statement. Using the power of Lozen, coupled with the Micro Focus Enterprise Server, COBOL compiler, and the callable File Handler API, we can move our mainframe COBOL programs and JCL to distributed and cloud platforms without changing the COBOL source in any way. By leaving the data on the mainframe, we can remove the risk and expense of copying the data while also avoiding the cost and operational complexity of keeping that data in sync across platforms. Thank you for your time and attention. For further information, please contact us via email, phone, or social media. This short demonstration.
All right, thank you, Richard, for putting that together for us. So Richard in that demo did highlight some of the key advantages to Lozen. Again, out of the box, real-time read-write data access. So you don't, no more custom coding or maintenance for the data access. This is really important in, as there's continues to be mainframe skills gap. So you can really do these vSAM data access procedures from the the cloud and distributed side and expose your DevOps to that. One of the really, really key items is it doesn't break the data dependencies. So as you know, in the ETL scenario where you're shipping data over to a different environment or database, you may have shared data and then have to figure out how to get that data back together. So in this case, shared data is completely okay, maintains a single source of truth on your mainframe. So the data is always up to date. And like I said, it still enables the advanced features of vSAM, shared data, including transactional vSAM and record level sharing. It also avoids the needs to duplicate and transform large volumes of data. Lozen does have built-in data transformation. So when you discretely access that data, you can present that in the desired output of your consuming platform or your client platform. And so that really speeds the transaction and with that discrete access. And we'll highlight that a little bit more here as well. Maintains the mainframe security and controls. So when you replicate that data, you're not just shipping it over the wire to some other platform. You don't know where that data is going or how it's being accessed from your consistent mainframe security package. Eliminates change data capture routines. Again, because you're writing real time, you're not replicating the data. It is always the single source of truth, as we said. This saves significant mainframe and network resources. So while Lozen, you can use Lozen to populate a data lake or supplement your ETL processes, in this migration scenario, it really does reduce those resources because one, you are not replacing those MIPS with ETL MIPS. It is zip enabled. From a workload standpoint, Lozen offloads 90% or more of your data IO to the zip. And so that is a very important aspect. We don't replace those MIPS. And you get those savings from the applications that you're migrating or modernizing or even developing on a net new platform. Again, the server and client-based data transformation. So if you're using one of our connectors, you can also choose where you do that data transformation, even saving more mainframe resources. But it is also zip-enabled transformation. So that makes it, again, very efficient. And it's automated, highly automated bidirectional data transformation. And then, as we said, it has discrete data access. So if you're making a call of a record by key, you're accessing only that key, not having to sort through the entire files or export entire files to another platform. It is that very discrete data access, which also leads to the high performing aspect of Lozen. You're really accessing that data only that you need. It's binary versus text-based. And as we said, maintains those advanced features of vSAM. If your goal is to completely retire the mainframe, this avoids a ton of throwaway work on touching that data or handling that data in the interim, again, through those change data capture routines, other data transformation activities, shipping all that data over the wire, etc. And that leaves you with a single, if you are retiring the mainframe, you can just do a single data project in the end, validating your target data environment against your entire application set that's going to access that data in your target state. All right, so we'll open it up for a few questions here. Hopefully I've highlighted some key points, but certainly we're glad to answer any questions. Okay. If there's no questions, I'll check one more time.
Sorry, Dusty.
Oh,
sorry,
yeah.
I had to unmute everybody. So if you unmute yourself, I had to enable your microphone. So just unmute yourself if you have have a question.
Yeah, I think I saw the one question about DB2. So we don't handle DB2 today because there are solutions in the market, right? The OBDC drivers and JDBC drivers to access that data. So we really targeted the really difficult problem of the VSAM, QSAM data in particular, and how you access that and access that in a very efficient and novel way. The platform is, and our architecture is open to supporting other data and database types. So if there's a customer need for that, we can certainly talk about it, but today it doesn't include DB2. Kim, was there another question data type other than DB2? Chat. Okay, great. So I just wanted to share a little bit more about our second product, which is ZAC, which is the inverse of Lozen. So in this case, the mainframe is the client and is able to access data in a real-time read-write format in cloud and distributed environments, but also cloud and distributed storage. So this is really a pretty innovative and elegant solution that we have developed here. And there's actually a demo that you can see posted on our YouTube and our website around ZAC accessing Azure environments, Azure Blob to be specific, and some really simple ways in which ZAC accesses that data, writes that data real time to those environment from the mainframe. That of course is a very powerful solution to potentially save money and access data and storage that has really not been accessible to the mainframe in the past as the client side. So I'd encourage you to go look at that demo, and you'll have a link here to our demos as well. All right, any other questions before I close? Okay, again, thank you for joining us today. We do have many resources out on our website for you, blogs, video demos, past webinars, and other topic videos. And we're about to release an interactive demo of Lozen as well. And so I would say watch out for the communication on that part. And then you can go and do some self-directed interactive demonstration of Lozen and really see a lot of the full capabilities and other use cases that you may have in mind other than incremental migrations. If you'd like a deeper dive or briefing into Lozen or an eval copy of Lozen, or also a briefing on ZAC, please reach out to us at hello@virtualz.com or our contact page on our website, and we will be glad to reach out to you and spend as much time as you'd like to go through Lozen and ZAC. All right, finally, thank you again, and we look forward to seeing you at a future webinar.